This is a story of the two princes who became the most powerful beings in the world, and the name of this story was The great bells of Kazakuchi did not ring, they roared. Their thunderous echoes, usually reserved for coronations or declarations of war, carrying a palpable tension that settled over the palace halls. This was the sound of a kingdom holding its breath. Inside the palace, King Yuto stood rigid outside the chamber carved with the Kazakuchi phoenix crest. He was dressed in the heavy, jade-colored silk of his formal robes, yet sweat pricked his brow. His younger brother, Prince Taro, leaned against a marble pillar, attempting his usual cool composure, but the movement of his fingers, constantly gripping and releasing the hilt of his concealed dagger, betrayed him. The tension was ancient, supernatural. It wasn't about the queen's well-being, though, that fear was present. It was about the Seer's prophecy, a promise whispered years ago that King Yuto's son would be born with power greater than any mortal before him. "Brother, you look as though you're preparing for a battle," Taro murmured, his voice low. Yuto shifted, his gaze locked on the great door. The seer spoke of a sword too large for its sheath. "Power like that draws shadows, Taro. It secures the future, yes, but it endangers the present. I'm not afraid he won't make it. I'm afraid I won't be strong enough to protect what he becomes." Before Taro could offer reassurance, the door opened. Queen Yuna, the matriarch of the kingdom, and Taro and Yuto's mother, stood in the aperture, bathed in the soft, internal light of the chamber. A tired, profound smile touched her lips. "He is here, my son's come." King Yuto rushed inside. The birthing chamber was a haven of quiet triumph. Queen Emi, his wife, lay pale but radiant, cradling a tiny bundle of silk. Yuto knelt instantly, all thoughts of crown and power dissolving. The weight of the world, for that single, perfect moment, lifted. As he reached out a hesitant hand, the infant squirmed. And then Yuto saw it, a fleeting, almost invisible crimson flicker, like a dying ember in the hearth, dancing around the baby's tiny hands. The air, already warm, grew warmer, infused with the purest energy of fire. "The seer did not lie," Queen Yuna stated, her voice thick with pride. "He will surpass us all. He will be the strongest mortal ever born." Yuto touched his son's forehead, a vow passing silently between them. "His name is Kato," he whispered, "the future king of Kazakuchi." The kingdom erupted, banquets were hosted, fireworks lit the northern sky, and nobles from every village arrived, bearing gifts of steel, gold, and ancient magic. For a week, Kazakuchi lived in a state of suspended joy. Then, duty returned. Prince Taro, now an uncle but still the king's most trusted spy, prepared for his long-delayed journey to the hostile Moldovan kingdom. His mission was to gather unseen intelligence on their plans for invasion. "Keep your head low, Taro," Yuto instructed, embracing his brother. "I am already a shadow, brother. I will return in 10 days, no doubt with news of their foolish ambitions." Taro rode out alone, moving with the seasoned caution of an elite agent from the Shadow Division. But on the third day, deep within the treacherous, unmapped terrain known as the Forest of Dread, his mission shattered. The Forest of Dread was a place where light seldom reached the ground, where shadows bred the monstrous, and where life withered. Yet, from the deep brush, came a sound so fragile and impossible it stopped Taro's heart. A baby's cry. He dismounted, sword drawn, and cautiously pushed aside the thorny thicket. There, nestled unharmed in the roots of a massive, dead tree, lay a child, barely a year old. He was naked and covered in dust, but there was not a single scratch on his flawless skin. No mother, no belongings, no sign of footsteps. As Taro gently lifted the child, he felt a tingling sensation. He looked closer, and on the boy's chest, he saw them, faint, intricate lightning scars, like fine silver calligraphy, shimmering for a moment before fading. The child's cry was not the sound of common distress. It was raw, powerful, and seemed to resonate with an untapped storm. "No monster would leave you," Taro murmured, bewildered. "No human could survive here." He knew instantly that taking the child on a spy mission was impossible. His duty was to the kingdom, but his conscience and a sudden, fierce paternal instinct was tied to the infant. He turned his horse around, giving up his mission to return home. 3 days later, he was back in the palace. His wife, Princess Hannah, a woman who had quietly mourned their inability to conceive, rushed to him. Her confusion at his early return instantly dissolved when she saw the small life in his arms. She didn't hesitate. She took the child and walked the halls, singing a soft, ancient lullaby until the boy's cries faded into contented silence. Taro found King Yuto in his study, ready to face the music of his failed mission. "You returned early, brother. Do the Oldovians already march?" Yuto asked, concern etched on his face. Taro explained everything: the forest of dread, the lightning scars, the miraculous survival. He ended with a plea. "Hana and I have tried for a child for years. Yuto, this boy. He was delivered to me by the storms. He is no ordinary child, but he needs a family. I ask for your permission to raise him as my own." Yuto, thinking of his own son, Kato, and the burden of destiny, smiled. "Granted. May he bring you both great happiness." "Did you name him?" "We shall name him Akira," Taro stated, the name meaning bright and clear, a boy found in the shadows, yet clearly destined for light. With that done, their conversation turned dark. Taro mentioned the 3 riders he'd seen moving toward Kazokuchi just before he found Akira, riders who had likely intercepted the carrier pigeon he'd sent. They concluded that spies were indeed embedded in the kingdom, their lives and now Prince Kato's life in danger. It was decided Kato would be kept safely within the palace walls, his identity a secret, his education handled by private tutors. And Prince Taro would accept the title of King's Advisor, dedicating his unique stealth skills not to foreign espionage, but to rooting out the domestic threat. His final, self-appointed task was also to protect the future king. The 2 boys, Kato and Akira, grew up within the immense walls of Kazokuchi. They were brothers in every way that mattered. Kato, the heir apparent, shining with natural fire and boundless charisma. Akira, the protector, moving with the quiet, observant grace of lightning hidden in the clouds. But a few years later, a second biological son, Prince Haruto, was born to King Yuto and Queen Mei. While Kato was celebrated and rigorously trained as the heir, and Akira was lauded for his sudden, adopted power and his dedication to his elder brother. Haruto, who didn't get a celebration because of the spies that infiltrated Kazokuchi, felt perpetually lost in their shared shadow of his brothers. He lacked Kato's fiery grandeur and Akira's phantom speed. He was the middle child, not the firstborn destined for the throne, nor the mysterious, powerful foundling. He watched the 2 older princes spar, listened to the praise heaped upon them, and saw the worried, proud eyes of his parents fixed on Kato. He felt a deep, wounding sense of injustice, a feeling that his life was secondary, his existence an asterisk in the grand history of Kazokuchi. The seed of jealousy and resentment took root in his heart, a tiny, toxic bloom that would one day welcome a much darker influence. The palace of Kazokuchi was not just a seat of power. It was a fortress and an arena where future warriors were forged. When Kato and Akira reached the age of 7, their training diverged sharply to reflect their future roles: the king and his shadow. Kato, the samurai heir. King Yuto entrusted Kato to Master Musashi, chief of the samurai. Guard Kato's training was a relentless pursuit of discipline, honor, and martial perfection. For 5 years, Kato lived away in the samurai mountain village, mastering the katana, wakizashi, naginata, and the formidable Jumonji Yari. He studied strategy and leadership, and his inherent fire magic, passed down from his lineage, intensified. He not only learned to enhance his physical abilities for superhuman strength, but also discovered his unique skill, the ability to conjure wings of crimson flame and achieve flight. By the time he was 12, he had surpassed every elder, claiming the coveted #1 rank in the samurai clan. Akira, the ninja shadow. Prince Taro delivered Akira to Master Hattori, the secretive leader of the Shadow Division. Akira's lessons were silent, cold, and centered on stealth, speed, and assassination arts. He trained tirelessly with the double katana, shuriken, sai, staff, and nunchaku, mastering hand-to-hand combat against 200 older, seasoned warriors. Taro himself taught his son the secret, ancestral black shadow technique, allowing Akira to meld with and vanish into darkness. This ability, combined with his natural lightning magic which granted him superhuman agility and speed, made him unstoppable. By the age of 12, He had defeated his final, hardest opponent, achieving the rank of the third best warrior in the ninja clan. Though trained separately, they were bound by the shared gift of matching golden katanas from their father's weapons that symbolized their unbreakable bond and the promise that their combined power, fire and lightning, would defend the kingdom. At the age of 13, the princes returned, not as boys, but as formidable young men. Kaito, now a master strategist and swordsman, and Akira, a shadow of unmatched speed and cunning, had a radical idea. "We wish to attend Nova Academy," Kaito requested, during a rare, formal family meeting. "We must grow not only as warriors, but as people," Akira added, cutting to the heart of the matter. If Kaito is to be king, he must understand the people he serves. "And since no one knows our faces, we can be ordinary students, we can be safe." Prince Taro still objected, citing the danger of the spies he hadn't yet found, but the combined voices of Queen Emi, Princess Hana, and Queen Yuna prevailed. "Very well," King Yuto finally agreed. "For 5 years, you will be students at Nova Academy. When you return, you will no longer be boys ... but men." Akira bowed low, the shadow of his ninja vows hardening his resolve. "I shall protect Kaito with my life, as long as I live." Then Kaito also bowed in respect. At Nova Academy, a dazzling marvel of crystal towers and elemental classrooms, the brothers found themselves instantly isolated. Their superior skills and Kaito's natural attraction drew the envy of the other boys. They were outsiders. But they were not alone for long. They found Shinji, a quiet boy feared for a unique, powerful ability. He could absorb and replicate the powers of others. He was shunned, labeled cursed, and isolated by fear. Kaito, never one to judge, extended his hand. "Want to train with us?" Akira, ever the pragmatist, added, "3 outcasts are better than 1. And so, the core trio was born: fire, lightning, and shadow. They trained together, their powers amplifying their skills, forging a brotherhood unbreakable by the jealousies of their peers.